Hey Peter, so today I just wanted to discuss Pacquiao Ugas. We obviously reviewed it last week, reviewed the fight. I said it was a good fight. You know, it was Ugas a real top contender. And I think a lot of people were blindsided by the fact that Spence against Pacquiao was a great fight. You know, it was a super fight. And then all of a sudden Spence was out with the eye injury and Ugas was in. And we were like, well, who the hell's Ugas? And so, you know, going from a 2-1 underdog in the Spence fight, Pacquiao was then installed as a 4-1 favourite in the Ugas fight, you know, which, as I said, I didn't think was right. Ugas has that great amateur pedigree, you know, as all those Cuban boxers do. 2005 World Championship gold, 2008 bronze medal. He defected after the 2008 Olympics, where he won that bronze and then turned pro. You know, he did have that little bit of a career break. He seemed to lose his way 2014 to 2016, but then he came back, put some great wins together, had that debatable loss to Sean Porter, and then 3 wins after that. He was WBO regular champion, and he got this shot against Pacquiao because he was boxing on the undercard, and, you know, all of a sudden he's in this super fight. And as I say, I think we were a bit blindsided, you know, thinking, who the hell is he? And we were also blinded, you know, as you always are, by Manny's greatness. And then we tuned into this fight and we thought, are we going to see, you know, the old Manny Pacquiao, or are we going to see an old Manny Pacquiao? And that was really the question. And the answer was kind of flashes of both. I mean, there were, you know, Pacquiao did put some good combinations together. You know, he did sometimes move his feet well, but a lot of the time, you know, the fleet of foot, the speed was gone. And that's not to take away from Ugas, who watched a very smart fight. He was noticeably the bigger, the longer, and the taller man. You know, but he boxed very well, very cleverly. He countered Pacquiao brilliantly. He didn't get pulled in by the feints, you know, by the feints of foot, by the feint of hands. You know, he did seem to be in control. I gave it to Ugas 8-4. So I think the scorecards were fair. And Pacquiao said afterwards he thought his legs were cramping up from the second. He thought he'd overtrained a bit. And I mean, it says a lot about the man at 42 with all he's got going on in the world, you know, that he can overtrain. That, you know, he still is so dedicated to boxing that he does that. But, you know, he just kind of, you know, hasn't had a stoppage in a while now, Manny, and he didn't look like he was going to pull the trigger at any point. Ugas, I thought, looked well in control, you know, looked to be landing the heavier shots, and, you know, the more eye-catching shots, the nice counters. He moved around, like I say, boxed well, boxed constantly, boxed like someone of his experience should box, wasn't overawed by the occasion or the opponent, and so I think came out a deserved winner. So, you know, we were blinded by the greatness of Pacquiao going into that, and we were hoping he could turn the clock back. But you can only kind of defy gravity for so long. And let's not forget, he's been a pro since 1995. January 1995 was Manny Pacquiao's first pro fight. You know, for people as old as me, that doesn't seem that long ago. For a lot of people, they've grown up, you know, and they've only ever, you know, known Manny Pacquiao as a world champion or contesting all these things. And it's unbelievable to think that back in 1995, I mean, George Foreman was the top heavy, really. You know, nobody knew the Spice Girls. Bill Clinton was president. I could go on. It was a long time ago. And throughout that period, you know, he's put together that stellar run. So as a pro for 26 years, he's been a champion in 8 weight divisions. It's almost difficult to keep track of all the belts and the stuff he's won, but I think he could claim to be a bona fide world champion in 5 weight divisions. And, you know, and constantly sort out the best competition, sort out the best opposition. You know, so it's just remarkable, really, that he could go into this fight at 42 years of age, and we still back him as the favourite. And that's interesting when you again look at what we were saying about the fight. You know, you've got somebody like Ugas who's 35, all right, coming to the end of his career, but arguably still in his prime. You know, he's a WBA champion. He's been active. And, you know, we got Pacquiao coming in as a 42-year-old man who hasn't fought for 2 years. And obviously has got a lot of miles on the clock. And we still very much favoured him to do this job. But it was just that bridge too far. And that brings me to really what these guys are going to do now. You know, for me, I would kind of like to see Pacquiao retire. I mean, he just keeps going and keeps going. He keeps the same, you know, he doesn't do the Mayweather thing, doesn't go and fight the MMA fighters or the YouTubers. He goes after the best opposition and keeps going after the best opposition. And that's what he's done throughout his career. So he hasn't changed tack in that. And even though his style has adapted slightly, he hasn't radically changed it. You know, and it's still a very high intensity sort of, you know, youth, you know, enhanced style. Although he has slowed down, he's still kept that same style. So, you know, I think he has grown old gracefully in the ring. You know, he's had his setbacks and he's come back from that, and that's made us love him even more, I think. But, you know, I think really now it's the time to bow out gracefully. There was no disgrace in losing to Ugas like that, you know, on points over 12 rounds. You know, he did make it a competitive fight. He just lost to the better man on the night. And I think it will be a good point now to retire. His options, he's got to decide in a few months' time. He's an active politician in the Philippines. You know, he's a senator, and he's got to decide in a few months' time whether he runs for president. If he puts his papers in to run for president in a couple of months' time, I think that's it. there's no way that he could, then train and be a pro boxer as well, and compete boxing wise as well. So I think, that would be the end of it if he makes the decision to go for that, even more so than thinking that maybe his boxing journey is at an end. The other options for him, we could go for an Ugas rematch and say, he's not going to overtrain, he's going to correct those things. We'd like to watch that, I suppose, or we would watch it, but Ugas would definitely be the favourite going into that fight. He could ignore Ugas altogether and go straight for Spence, who's going to be out for 6 to 12 months with this eye injury. Again, people would want to see the Ugas thing put right, I think. So for Manny, it's either retirement, Ugas or Spence, and I'm kind of going to guess, and I suppose I'm swayed by hoping that he goes retirement. I think, nobody could be a better servant to the game, a better exemplar of what a fighter should be inside and outside of the ring. And, he's obviously made his money, his huge popularity. And if he's going to take that into politics, that's brilliant. And, I'm all for, President Pacquiao. So hopefully he'll go down that route, but we'll see. For Ugas, the obvious one out there is Spence now. He's catapulted himself up into the mainstream. Now everybody's heard of him. And Spence is out there 6 to 12 months sidelined, so it may take a fight in the interim, but really, the Errol Spence fight is the big one for him. That's where he's going to make the big money, and if he can beat Spence, he's going to be a superstar. So he's having a real sort of Indian summer at the end of his career, and it was, in a way, it was a shame to see Pacquiao go out like that, but it's like I say, you can only defy gravity for so long, and I think it was a dignified way to go out. So that's the way I'd like to see it play out. But yeah, and it was a good fight, as it always is with Manny. So we move on. After 26 years of Manny Pacquiao, this may have been the last dance. And will we ever see his like again? I don't know, but I suppose we'll really come to appreciate him now. He's nailed on for the Hall of Fame 10 years ago. Now he's maybe going to go on to be president of the Philippines. And what a great example for young people and people in the boxing community to aspire to. So well done, Manny Pacquiao. Well done, Yordenis Ugas. Great fight, and they both go on to greater and better things, I hope. Cheers, Peter.